Hi, this is Gabe from fluentforever.com. In this second video, we're going to talk about the German vowel system. My primary goal here is to get you familiar with the IPA symbols for these vowels and to give you a rough sense of how they fit in your mouth. Keep in mind throughout this process that the better you learn to hear these sounds, the better you'll be able to keep track of which one is which, and the better you'll produce them. We're going to be talking about tongue placement, so just to give you a rough sense of that, try this. Compare E, and a in English, as in seat, set, and sat. You'll notice that your tongue starts up high, E, and then goes to the middle of your mouth, E, and then goes down to a, E, a. And so your tongue can go up and down. It can also go forward and back. Compare as in bet and as in but. Your tongue goes forward for and then pulls back for if you'd like a much more in-depth discussion about vowel formation, check out some of the videos linked below, but for the beginning, that's about all you need. So let's get to some German. We'll start with 5 vowels that should be fairly familiar if you speak English. Mostly you just have to get used to the symbols for them. The first of these, I, uses a small capital I in IPA, and it shows up in German words like Ingwer and English words like sit. Next, uses a big curly E symbol, and it shows up in German words like Bett, or English words like bed. Uses a short, fat, capitalized U. It shows up in German words like Unke, and in English words like book. Then comes U, which looks like a lowercase u. You'll notice it has a weird little colon thingy afterwards. This basically just means that it's a long vowel. You hold it longer. And we'll talk about that in a bit more depth in video 3. This vowel should sound fairly familiar, as in English's pool or shoe. Just be a bit careful. In many accents of English, we actually start words like shoe with the vowel we just talked about in Unke. Shoe, as opposed to German's Schuh, which is just one pure vowel, U. And last, we have E, as in German's deep, or English's deep. This vowel is basically the same in German and English, although if you want to get really picky, the German E is a bit closer to the front of the mouth, E. And if you happen to say a mixture of vowels in English, when you say a word like deep, if you say deep or deep, well, don't do that in German. So, let's look at 3 more vowels with slightly new tongue placement. We'll start with German's A, as in Mark. This vowel is very close to English's as in mock, but you'll need to put your tongue a bit closer to the front of your mouth in the direction of a, as in Mac. So you have English's mock, German's Mac, and English's Mac. Mock, Mac, Mac. Next comes A as in easel, which is a vowel that is basically halfway between and E. Remember how E was high up in your mouth and was in the middle of your mouth? Well, A is right in between those two. It is a challenging sound for English speakers to hear. The difference between A and E is really slight. But with enough minimal pair practice, you'll start to get it in your ear. The next one is O, as in boat. It is similar to American English's O, as in boat. The issue with boat is that it's actually 2 vowels. You start at O, which is pretty good, but then you go to O, boat. German's vowel stays put. They say boat, and it stays in one spot. This is another tricky vowel to hear. The difference between O and U is really tiny in German. At this point, we can handle the relatively large number of rounded vowels in German. These are vowels that take the tongue position of a more or less familiar vowel. For instance, E, with your tongue all the way up and in the front, E. And then they round their lips, like you would do with U or O. They round their lips without moving the tongue. So if you take E, as in Biene, E, and you round your lips without moving your tongue at all, it should stay all the way in the front, as high as it can go. E, you get E, U, as in Bühne. E, U, E, U. If you start with a different vowel, if you start with instead, bringing your tongue a little bit down over to the front center of your mouth, and then you round your lips, you get as an Öffnung, Öffnung. You can also do this with the English vowel as in but. Keep your tongue still, it's in the back center of your mouth, and then you round your lips. Onkel, onkel. To compare them directly, German has Bonn, and English has bun. Bonn, bun. We can also start with the vowel I, as in German's Birne, or English's lip. Your tongue is a bit lower and a bit further back than it was with I, I, and then you round your lips. Stück, Stick, Stück, Gericht, Gerücht. The last, thankfully, of these rounded vowels is based on German's E vowel. Your tongue is all the way in front, fairly high up, E, and then you round your lips. Ölfarbe. And so at this point, with we've almost come all the way through. We just have a couple of vowels left, and then a few combinations. The first of these remaining two vowels is known as the schwa. In German, it sounds like as in Pfanne. The symbol in IPA is an upside-down E, which is a symbol used in a lot of languages to indicate an unaccented, somewhat indistinct vowel. But be careful with this symbol, because it sounds different from language to language. In English, for instance, we have a schwa. It's as in about, and a tree, the road. It sounds almost like and it uses the same tongue position, just instead of saying about, we say about. There's less of an accent. In German, the tongue position is different. It's somewhere in between that of English's and English's I. And so if you're trying to say the word bitte in German, then you can start with an You can start with an sound, bitte, bitte, and then let your tongue drift up a little bit in the direction of I. So you have bitte, bitte, bitte. The last of these vowels is German's as in Lehrer. This is another unaccented vowel, and it's extremely close to English's vowel. You have Lehrer, Stier, Erkältung. And so that's the sound. And at this point, we've actually done it. We've covered all of German's many vowels. Let's go through a few small combinations and then a quick review. The combinations I'm talking about are called diphthongs, meaning a group of two vowels sort of stuck together. And we honestly have them all over the place in English. Of our so-called 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, and U, 3 of them, A, I, and O, are not actually single vowels at all. They're diphthongs. In American English, at least, we go A, I, and O, not to mention U, which is a consonant vowel. Anyway, German has 3 of these diphthongs, which we'll go over. And as a quick aside, you might notice the little semicircles under the second vowel letter in each of these diphthongs. That symbol, it doesn't change the vowel at all. It's just there to tell you that the extra vowel isn't an extra syllable. So you're saying A, I, and O with 1 syllable each, and not E, A, and O, which would be weird. So let's get back to German. The first of German's diphthongs is I, which sounds much like English's I. One of the biggest differences between German and English diphthongs is that the Germans tend to go faster to the second vowel. In English, you can say, oh, that's mine, mine, where a German one would just say mein. They go faster. In addition, for this German diphthong, at least to my ear, the tongue doesn't end up as high up in the mouth at the end when compared to English. We say mine, mine, where the tongue is almost near E, mine, where the Germans say mein, mine, where the tongue is lower down, almost at A. The next of these is Au, as an Aufzug, or Bau. This one is really very similar to English, aside from the speed issue. So German has Bau, and English bow. And last, there's Oi, as an Oita. This one sounds a lot like Oi, as in boy, and your tongue is doing nearly the exact same thing. The big difference is in your lips. When you say boy, your lips relax at the end, whereas in German they stay rounded and tense the whole way through. You have boy in English and Oita, Oita in German. And now we're actually done. We've gone through everything. So let's take a quick review through all the vowels we encountered. We had 5 familiar vowels. E is in Ingwer, E is in Bet, U is in Unke, U as in Schuh, and I as in deep. Then we had 3 vowels that were in somewhat new places. A as in Mark, which was a bit more forward in the mouth compared with English's A as in Mark, Mark. We had E as in Esel, which had a tongue position kind of halfway between E and I, Esel. And we had O as in boat, which was similar to O as in boat, just without moving on to that second vowel in the English diphthong O. So boat. Then we had our 5 rounded vowels. There was U as in Bühne, a rounded version of E. I, U. There was Ö as in Öffnung, a rounded version of E. So you had Ö, Öffnung. You had O as in Onkel, which was a rounded version of O, Onkel. Ö as in Stück, which is a rounded version of Ö, Stück. And Ö as in Ölfarbe, which was a rounded version of Ö, Ölfarbe. And then we covered 2 unaccented vowels. German's schwa, Ö as in Pfanne, which is somewhere between English's and Pfanne, and as in Lehrer, which is in nearly the same spot as English's Lehrer. And last but not least, we covered 3 of German's diphthongs. I as in I, Au as in Aufzug, and Oi as in Euter. And at this point, we've covered all the sounds of German. Next up, we'll have a bit of discussion about vowel length and a few spelling rules.